I caught my wife with my daughter's fiancé, plotting to rob me blind. Rage consumed me. I wanted to end it then and there, but my daughter stopped me, her voice trembling. "Dad, don't. It's worse than you think." The next morning, they didn't wake up. Before we continue, please subscribe to the channel and let us know where you are listening in the comments. The steak sizzled against the grill grates, fat dripping onto the coals below. I flipped it with practiced ease, watching the char marks form into perfect crosshatch patterns. August heat radiated off the flagstone patio, even as the sun began its descent toward the McDowell Mountains. My backyard stretched out behind me, pool water catching the golden light, citrus trees casting long shadows across the grass. 6 months married to Beulah, and I still felt grateful every time I looked at this view, this life I'd built. Then Gordon checked his phone again. 5th time in 10 minutes. Maybe 6th. I'd lost count after he dropped it face down on the patio table, nearly knocking over his beer. The boy, 28 years old, technically a man, but he seemed young to me, kept pulling the device from his pocket, glancing at the screen, typing something quick, then shoving it back. His jaw muscle worked like he was chewing something tough. "How do you want yours, Gordon?" I asked, tongs hovering over the ribeyes. "What?" He looked up, startled. "Oh, medium is fine. Whatever you think." Whatever I think. The kind of answer someone gives when they're not actually listening. I studied him while pretending to focus on the meat. Olivia's fiancé had always struck me as decent enough, polite, respectful, said the right things. Personal trainer at some gym downtown, which explained the build, but not much else about his character. They'd been together 3 months. Quick, but Olivia seemed happy, and at 62, I'd learned that happiness was rare enough to celebrate when you found it. Beulah emerged from the house carrying a platter of corn. She moved with that easy grace I'd fallen for. Tall, elegant, her silver-streaked hair pulled back in a twist. She'd come into my life 2 years after my first wife passed, appearing at a coffee shop where I'd been nursing my grief and a lukewarm espresso. 8 months of courtship, then marriage. Sometimes I still couldn't believe my luck. "Steak's almost ready?" she asked, setting down the platter. 5 minutes. I caught Gordon's hand trembling slightly as he accepted a fresh beer from Olivia. Just a quiver, barely noticeable. But I'd spent 40 years reading people across negotiation tables, watching for tells. That tremor meant something. "So," I said, keeping my tone casual as I moved the steaks to indirect heat. "You two thinking about buying a place after the wedding? Real estate's my business, as you know. I'd like to help you kids out. Maybe $50,000 for a down payment. What do you think?" Gordon's eyes went wide. Actually wide. 50? Wow, Sterling. That's incredibly generous, I mean. He fumbled the beer bottle, caught it, laughed too loud. Thank you, really. I don't know what to say." "Say you'll let me help," I replied, watching him carefully. But Gordon's face had already shifted, like a mask sliding into place. "You know what? Let's talk about that later. These steaks smell amazing. How do you get them so perfect? Is it the grill or the technique?" The deflection was smooth, too smooth. 1 second, overwhelming gratitude. The next, desperate subject change. I felt something cold settle in my chest, just beneath my ribs. "Dad, you're going to spoil us," Olivia said, squeezing Gordon's hand. Her face glowed with that particular happiness of someone newly in love, unaware of undercurrents. "Gordon, isn't my father the best?" "The best," Gordon echoed, but his voice sounded hollow. We ate as the sky turned purple, then navy. Conversation flowed, mostly Beulah and Olivia carrying it, talking about wedding flowers and venue options. Gordon contributed little, I contributed less, content to observe. When Olivia excused herself to use the bathroom, I watched Gordon's eyes track her until she disappeared into the house. Then he looked at Beulah, not a casual glance, a meaningful look loaded with something I couldn't quite name. His eyebrows raised slightly, a question maybe. Beulah's response was minute, almost invisible, the tiniest nod. 2 seconds, maximum. Then Olivia's footsteps echoed from inside, and suddenly both Gordon and Beulah were animated, laughing about something, their faces bright with performed cheer. My hand tightened on my fork. The evening wound down. Gordon and Olivia left around 9, her arm linked through his as they walked to his car. Beulah and I cleaned up in comfortable silence, or what should have been comfortable. But I kept replaying that glance, that nod. What did it mean? What were they acknowledging? "I'm exhausted," Beulah said, kissing my cheek. "Going to read in bed for a bit." "I'll be up soon," I told her. "Just want to check some emails." My office sat at the end of the hall, windows facing the empty patio. I didn't turn on the lights, just settled into my leather chair and stared at the darkened pool, its surface rippling slightly in the night breeze. The grill sat cooling, a dark shape against the fence. That's when I heard her voice, muffled, coming from down the hall, from our bedroom. I stood, moved quietly across the hardwood, my stockinged feet making no sound. The bedroom door was cracked open, just an inch, maybe two. Enough. Beulah's voice drifted out, low and urgent. "Just 2 more weeks. Have to keep patient? No, he doesn't suspect anything. Everything is going exactly as planned." My blood turned to ice water. I backed away slowly, carefully, like retreating from a sleeping predator. Back to my office, back to my chair. I sat in the darkness, listening to my own heartbeat, feeling it hammer against my sternum. 2 years after my first wife died, 2 years of grief and loneliness. Then Beulah appeared, like a gift. Kind, understanding, patient with my moods, my memories. She'd slipped into my life so naturally, filling spaces I'd thought would stay empty forever. Now I sat in the dark, replaying everything. Gordon's nervousness, his excessive reaction to the money offer, followed by immediate deflection. The glance between him and Beulah when Olivia left the table. That nod, that tiny, deliberate nod. And now this phone call. 2 more weeks, doesn't suspect. Exactly as planned. I stared out at the patio, at the space where we'd all sat hours before, pretending to be a happy family. The pool lights cast wavering patterns across the flagstone. My reflection stared back at me from the window glass. A 62-year-old man who'd thought he understood the world, understood people. I didn't have proof, not yet. But 40 years of business negotiations had taught me to trust my instincts. And my instincts were screaming. Something was very, very wrong. 4 days crawled by like 4 weeks. I sat at the kitchen counter now, laptop open, the screen showing some article about market trends I wasn't reading. Instead, I watched Beulah move around the kitchen, wiping down already clean counters, rearranging fruit in a bowl. She hummed something tuneless while she worked, unaware of my observation. I'd barely slept since the barbecue. Every time I closed my eyes, I heard her voice through that bedroom door. Doesn't suspect anything. I'd spent these past days watching her like she was a stranger, noting her patterns, when she showered, when she made phone calls, when she went out. She left her tablet on the counter when she headed upstairs. I heard the bathroom door close, water running through the pipes. The tablet screen was still lit. She'd been looking at something before she left it. I wasn't snooping, I told myself. Just happened to be there, happened to glance down. Credit card statement, her account, not our joint one. Charges scrolling down the screen. Most were routine, grocery stores, gas stations, nothing interesting. Then I saw it. Elite Peak Fitness. Every Tuesday and Thursday, going back 7 months. 7. A month before our wedding. 2 months before Gordon supposedly met Olivia. My fingers gripped the counter edge until my knuckles went white. Elite Peak Fitness. That's where Gordon worked, where he still worked, training clients, building bodies, earning his modest salary. Beulah had been going there for 7 months, which meant she knew Gordon before anyone met anyone. The timeline assembled itself in my mind like pieces clicking into place. 8 months ago, Beulah and I met at that coffee shop on Camelback Road. She'd been at the table next to mine, had smiled, commented on my book. We'd talked. She'd been charming, easy to talk to, so easy. 3 months ago, Gordon met Olivia at a different coffee shop near her office. Just walked up and started talking, Olivia had said. Like fate. Nothing was fate. I stepped back from the tablet before Beulah returned, moving to the coffee maker, pouring a cup I didn't want. When she came back downstairs, hair damp, I smiled at her. She smiled back. We were both pretending everything was fine. That evening I called Olivia, kept my voice light. Honey, I was just thinking, how exactly did you and Gordon meet? Tell me that story again. Her voice brightened. The coffee shop story? Dad, you've heard this. Humor your old man. I like hearing about how my daughter fell in love. She laughed, then recounted it. 3 months ago, late April, she'd been at her usual spot, the cafe on Main Street near her advertising firm. Gordon had approached her, said he'd noticed her there before, asked if he could join her. They talked for 2 hours, clicked immediately. Which coffee shop exactly? I asked, pulling out a notepad. The one on Main and 3rd. Why? Just curious. Did Gordon say why he was there? Does he work nearby? No, he trains at a gym downtown. He said he was just passing through, needed coffee. She paused. Dad, this is weird. Why are you asking? No reason, just making conversation. I steered us toward other topics, then ended the call. I sat with the notepad, drawing connections. Gordon approached Olivia at a specific location, at a specific time, like he'd been watching, like he knew her patterns, like someone had told him where to find her. The next afternoon, I told Beulah I had client meetings, would be gone until evening. I drove to my office, stayed an hour, then returned home. My key turned silently in the lock. The house was quiet. Then I heard her voice, low, urgent, coming from the kitchen. I moved through the entryway, footsteps muffled by carpet. Beulah stood with her back to me, phone pressed to her ear. Understand, but we have to stick to the schedule. If we move too fast, he'll... She turned, saw me, went rigid. The phone dropped from her hand. Sterling, you're home early. Her laugh sounded forced. I thought you had meetings all afternoon. Canceled, I said, watching her face. Everything okay? Fine, just talking to my sister, family stuff. She bent to retrieve her phone, wouldn't meet my eyes. Nothing important. I nodded, smiled, walked past her to my office, closed the door, sat in my chair, and breathed slowly through my nose. She didn't have a sister. I'd met her whole family at the wedding, mother, brother, 2 cousins. No sister. The following day, I did it again. Told her I'd be gone, came back early. This time, I found her in my office, my private office, the one I kept locked. She was closing the door behind her as I came down the hall, jumped when she saw me. Beulah! Sterling, I was looking for a book. Thought you might have that cookbook I mentioned. In my office? I know, silly of me. I got confused. She moved past me quickly, headed toward the kitchen. How were your meetings? I tested the office door after she left. Locked. I kept it locked always, had for years. Financial documents, property deeds, contracts. How did she get in? I checked my desk drawers, nothing obviously disturbed, but someone had been there. The papers weren't quite how I left them. That night, after Beulah went to bed, I sat in my office with a legal pad and wrote everything down. Timeline, observations, questions. December, Beulah and I meet. February, we marry. January through present, Beulah goes to Gordon's gym twice weekly. May, Gordon approaches Olivia. August, wedding planned. The pattern was too clean, too deliberate. I considered hiring a private investigator, made it as far as looking up firms on my laptop, but something stopped me. If I brought in outsiders, word might spread. Gordon and Beulah might catch wind. They'd disappear or accelerate whatever they were planning. Besides, I'd built a multi-million-dollar real estate business by reading people, by being patient, by waiting for exactly the right moment to close a deal. I could do this myself. I just needed more information. The next morning, I called Olivia again. Can we meet? Just you and me. Coffee. Her voice grew concerned. Is everything okay? Fine. I just want to talk. How's today? We met at a cafe across town, far from my neighborhood. She arrived looking worried, scanning my face for clues. I ordered us both coffee, led her to a corner table. Has Gordon ever mentioned money trouble? I asked, not bothering with preamble. Dad, what is this? Please, just answer. She frowned, thinking. He mentioned bills once, said training doesn't pay great, but he manages. Why? Has he talked about his family, his background? Not really. He says they're not close. Dad, you're scaring me. What's going on? I leaned forward, keeping my voice low. How much do you actually know about him? Have you met his family? Been to his apartment? A few times to his place, but he prefers mine. Says it's nicer. She set down her cup, hands trembling slightly. Dad, please, tell me what this is about. I wanted to, almost did, but I didn't have enough yet, Just suspicions, patterns, a credit card statement, nothing concrete. If I told her everything now, she might confront Gordon. He'd warn Beulah. They'd cover their tracks. I need you to do something for me, I said instead. Pay attention. Notice things about Gordon, how he acts, what he says, especially around money. If anything feels off, anything at all, tell me immediately. Can you do that? You're really scaring me. I might be wrong. I hope I'm wrong. I reached across the table, squeezed her hand. But if I'm not, we need to be careful. Trust me on this. We walked out to the parking lot together. Late afternoon sun beat down on the asphalt, making the air shimmer. Olivia stopped by her car, turned to face me. Dad, what's going on? You're acting like, I don't know, like something terrible is happening. I looked at my daughter, 34 years old, successful, kind, trusting, too trusting, like I'd been. Just watch him, I said quietly, and keep this conversation between us. Don't tell Gordon we talked. She nodded slowly, uncertainty clouding her eyes. I watched her drive away, then got into my own car. My hands gripped the steering wheel, jaw tight. I wasn't just suspicious anymore. I was building a case. And when I had enough evidence, when I understood exactly what they were planning, then I would act. But not yet. Not yet. 5 days of waiting felt like 5 months. I'd been documenting everything. Beulah's movements, her phone patterns, the times she went into my office when she thought I wasn't watching. But I needed help. Specifically, I needed someone with legal training and access to Gordon's private world. I stood at Olivia's apartment door that evening, manila folder tucked under my arm. I'd texted her an hour ago. Need to talk. Just us. Important. She'd responded immediately. Come over. She opened the door before I could knock, her face creased with concern. Dad, what's going on? You look exhausted. I probably did. Sleep had become something I did in 30-minute intervals. Always listening for Beulah's voice on the phone. Always watching. Her apartment was exactly like her. Organized, professional, modern furniture and neutral tones. We sat at her small dining table. I placed the folder between us, my hands resting on top of it. Before I show you this, I said carefully, I need you to promise you'll look at it as a lawyer, not as Gordon's fiancé. Can you do that? Her eyes narrowed. Dad, promise me. She nodded slowly. I promise. I opened the folder, slid the printed credit card statement across the table. The charges to Elite Peak Fitness were highlighted in yellow. 7 months of charges, every Tuesday and Thursday. I watched Olivia's eyes scan the page, saw the exact moment comprehension dawned. Your fiancé and my wife knew each other before any of us met, I said quietly. I have proof. Dad, maybe she just goes to that gym. Lots of people. But her voice faltered as she traced the highlighted lines with her finger. 7 months, before you even met her. I pulled out a second sheet, the timeline I'd constructed, December through August, every key event marked. December, Beulah starts gym visits. January, she accidentally meets me at a coffee shop. February, we marry. May, Gordon accidentally meets you at a coffee shop. I tapped the paper. Nothing was accidental. Olivia stared at the timeline. Her hands were shaking slightly. She was a prosecutor. She'd built cases on thinner evidence than this. This could still be coincidence, she said, but the words lacked conviction. It could be, I agreed. That's why I need you to verify. I need you to trust me. As your father, and as someone who's spent 30 years reading people in business deals, just look at his things. If I'm wrong, I'll apologize, and we never speak of this again. She was silent for a long moment. Then, his gym bag is in my bedroom. He left it here this morning. We walked to her bedroom together. The bag sat on a chair by her closet, black nylon with the gym's logo. Olivia's hands hesitated on the zipper. I stayed by the door, letting her do this herself. She opened it methodically. Workout clothes, protein powder, a towel, nothing unusual. Then she checked the outer pocket. Her face went pale. What is it? She pulled out a folded piece of paper, unfolded it with trembling fingers. It's a debt acknowledgement from a private lender. Her voice was barely a whisper. June 15th, $85,000. I moved closer, not touching the paper, but reading over her shoulder. 15% interest monthly. Full repayment due September 30th. or assets would be seized. Gordon's signature scrawled at the bottom. $85,000, Olivia repeated. He never mentioned. He said he was doing fine financially. I pulled out my phone, photographed the receipt, then handed it back to her. Keep looking. She did, more methodically now. At the bottom of the bag, beneath the towel, she found a torn piece of notepaper. Gordon's handwriting, unmistakable from the signature on the receipt. Plan B, Trust Access, AUG 29. August 29th, the day after the wedding. Olivia sat on the bed, both pieces of paper in her lap. I stood there, watching my daughter's world crack open. When she looked up at me, her eyes were dry, but her voice was steel. Trust Access, your family trust. That's what I think too. We returned to the dining table. She laid the receipt and note next to the credit card statement, 3 pieces of evidence. I watched her lawyer brain engage, saw the shift from emotion to analysis. He needs money desperately, she said slowly. Marrying me gets him close to your assets, but he can't access your money directly unless... She stopped. I finished for her. Unless I add him to my trust, which a loving new father-in-law might do for his daughter's husband, to protect you both financially. And Beulah. She's the inside agent. She married me to gain access, to convince me Gordon is trustworthy, to help manipulate the trust documents. Olivia slammed her hand on the table, making the papers jump. That note says August 29th, the day after our wedding. They're planning to move the day after. I reached across, took her hand. I need to know you're with me on this, not as my daughter defending her fiancé, but as a lawyer looking at evidence. The tears that had been threatening finally appeared, but she blinked them back hard, her jaw tightened. I'm with you, but we need more. This receipt and note, they show debt and suspicious thinking, but not necessarily conspiracy. We need them to confess their plan explicitly. I've been thinking about that. I leaned back. But I need your help. You have access to Gordon that I don't. And you have legal training for building a case. We talked for another hour, planning, strategizing. Olivia suggested recording, if we could get them talking freely, admitting their scheme. But how? I couldn't get Gordon and Beulah together without raising suspicion. Then Olivia had the idea. Her apartment. Gordon had a key, came here often during training breaks. If she set up a recording and left, we worked out the details. It would take planning, timing, luck. But it was possible. Before I left, I turned back at her door. Olivia, if we do this, we're committing to seeing it through. These people plan to destroy us financially. When we move decisively. Her response was cold, steady. Nothing like the happy bride from 2 weeks ago. I understand. They chose the wrong family. I nodded once. We'll meet again in 2 days. By then, I'll have a refined plan. I walked to my car, and she closed the door. Through the window, I saw her lean against it, staring at the evidence on her dining table. Her wedding was 16 days away, but she was no longer a naive bride. She was a prosecutor building a case. 6 days of preparation. That's what it took for Olivia to download the recording app, test it in every corner of her apartment, figure out optimal microphone placement, create the perfect opportunity. 6 days of maintaining normal appearances, her going to work, texting Gordon sweet messages, me acting like the devoted husband at home with Beulah. Now it was Thursday morning, August 18th, and Olivia was executing the plan. She stood in her kitchen, checking the recording app one final time. Her hands were steady now. No more shock, only purpose. She knew Gordon's schedule by heart. Every Monday and Thursday, he had a break between training clients from 10 to noon. He often came to her place during these breaks, using the key she'd given him months ago. She also knew, because I'd told her, that Beulah made errands runs on Thursday mornings. Leaving the house at 9:30, returning around noon. The timing could work. Olivia activated the recording app, maximized the microphone sensitivity. She tested it by walking to her bedroom and speaking normally. The playback was crystal clear. She placed the phone on the kitchen counter, slightly behind a wooden fruit bowl, screen facing down. It looked forgotten, natural, like she'd set it there and walked away. She texted Gordon, taking a quick run, back in an hour. You can use your key if you stop by. Then she sent a casual text to Beulah about being out all morning at the gym. The trap was set. Olivia left her apartment, took the elevator to the parking garage, and sat in her car. Engine off, eyes on the building entrance. She didn't have to wait long. 20 minutes later, Gordon's truck pulled into the lot. She watched him park, grab his gym bag, head inside using his key. Her heart hammered, but she stayed motionless. 15 minutes after that, Beulah's white sedan appeared. Olivia's breath caught. Beulah stepped out, glanced around the parking lot briefly, then walked toward the entrance with purpose. They were meeting in her apartment. Thinking they were alone and safe, Olivia checked her watch. She'd give them 30 minutes, enough time to talk, to feel comfortable, to say what they really thought. She waited, fingers tight on the steering wheel, watching the building like a predator studying prey. 35 minutes crawled by. Then 45. Finally, Gordon emerged first, walking quickly to his truck. 20 minutes later, Beulah followed, her expression satisfied. Olivia waited until both cars were gone before returning to her apartment. Inside, everything looked untouched, but Beulah's perfume hung faint in the air, something floral and expensive. Olivia went straight to the kitchen counter. Her phone was exactly where she'd left it, screen still down. She picked it up with shaking hands. The recording app showed 52 minutes captured. Her finger hovered over the playback button, then stopped. She couldn't listen alone. She needed her father to hear this with her, needed to see his face when he learned what his wife truly thought of him. She texted me, "I have it, everything, come to your house in 1 hour. Bring your lawyer if possible." I responded immediately. On my way, just us first. The drive to my house felt endless. Olivia kept the phone in her purse, refusing to listen. When she arrived, I was waiting in my home office, door closed. Beulah was out, some shopping trip she'd mentioned that morning. Olivia sat across from my desk. She placed her phone between us like evidence at trial. 52 minutes, she said. They met at my apartment this morning, said everything. My face was unreadable. Play it. The recording began. Gordon's voice came first, slightly muffled but clear. She's out for an hour. We're good. Beulah's voice, closer to the phone, presumably sitting at the kitchen counter. You sure she doesn't suspect anything? She's completely clueless, still planning the wedding like nothing's wrong. It's almost too easy. I watched my hands grip the desk edge, kept my face neutral, kept listening. We need to finalize the timeline, Beulah said. The wedding is in 10 days. After that, we move quickly. So the plan is, we get married August 28th. The next day you convince Sterling to add me to the family trust. You said he keeps talking about taking care of the kids financially. Beulah's laugh was light, casual. He's sentimental about family. I'll work the angle. Tell him it's important for Olivia's security, that young couples need protection. He'll do it. He's predictable. My jaw clenched. I forced it to relax. And once I'm on the trust paperwork, Gordon asked, then we wait 2, maybe 3 months. Can't be immediate or it looks suspicious. I'll get the account details, routing numbers. You have your contact ready? Yeah, my guy can set up the Shell investment company. He takes 20%, we split the rest. Should clear $4 million if we do it right. $4 million. My life's work, reduced to numbers in their scheme. Beulah's voice turned harder, colder. The old fool won't realize until it's too late. I've been playing devoted wife for 6 months. He trusts me completely, never questions anything. I closed my eyes briefly. When I opened them, Olivia was watching me with concern. And Olivia? Gordon asked. A pause. Then Beulah. She's naive, thinks you actually love her. By the time she realizes what happened, we'll be in a country without extradition. You're cold, Gordon said. I like it. They laughed together. The sound was chilling, intimate, cruel. The recording continued. More details about timing, about selling off assets quickly, about fake investment opportunities they'd present to me. When it finally ended, silence filled my office. Olivia spoke first. Dad, I'm so sorry. I didn't want to believe. I raised my hand, cutting her off. When I spoke, my voice was completely controlled. Don't apologize. You did exactly what needed to be done. I stood, walked to the window. My backyard stretched out below, the pool where we'd had that barbecue 2 weeks ago, the patio where I'd watched Gordon check his phone nervously, where I'd first suspected something was wrong. 6 months, I said quietly. Every morning, every dinner, every time she smiled at me, all of it was performance. The old fool, that's what she called me. Dad, I turned from the window. The hurt was gone now, burned away by something colder. They said I'd never realize until too late. They're wrong, I realize now, and it's not too late, for me, but it will be for them. Olivia stood. What do we do? We finish gathering evidence, we document everything, and then, when the moment is right, when they think they've won, we destroy them completely. I picked up her phone. I'm sending this recording to my secure backup. Then we call my attorney. We have 10 days until the wedding. That's 10 days to build an airtight plan. The wedding, I interrupted her. The wedding will happen, but not the way they planned. By August 29th, they won't have a future. They'll have nothing. Olivia nodded slowly. They thought we'd be easy targets. They thought they chose an old man blinded by loneliness and a young woman blinded by love. I looked at my daughter, saw my own cold determination reflected in her eyes. They chose wrong. Her voice matched mine in temperature. They chose the wrong family to betray. I nodded once. Now we show them what that mistake costs. 6 days of playing the dutiful husband. 6 days of smiling at Beulah across the breakfast table, kissing her cheek before leaving for the office, pretending I didn't know she was counting down the days until she could rob me blind. Now I sat in my car 4 blocks from home, checking my watch. Noon exactly. I'd told Beulah this morning I'd be in meetings until evening. She'd smiled, said she'd use the time to catch up on errands. I'd driven away, circled back, and parked here 20 minutes ago. Before leaving, I'd done something deliberate. I'd left financial documents on my office desk, not hidden, prominently displayed. Folder labels clearly visible, business sale proceeds, investment portfolio summary, real estate holdings. Bait for rats. My phone screen showed the home security system, motion sensors in every room. 10 minutes ago, activity registered in my office. The room I kept locked, the room she had a key to that she thought I didn't know about. I started the car, drove slowly toward home. My hands gripped the steering wheel so tight my knuckles went white. Part of me wanted to catch them, confront them, end this. But the businessman in me, the one who'd built an empire through patience and calculation, said, wait, observe, gather more evidence. I pulled into my driveway quietly. The house looked peaceful in the afternoon sun, giving no hint of the betrayal happening inside. I entered through the front door, closing it softly behind me. The house was silent except for faint voices down the hall. My office. I moved across the tile floor, staying on the balls of my feet. The office door was slightly ajar. Through the narrow gap, I could see movement. Beulah at my desk, Gordon standing beside her, both leaning over my documents, my private financial information. Gordon's voice, these are the actual numbers? 8.5 million from selling the business? Beulah responded, her tone businesslike. Plus 2.3 million in property equity from this house and 1.2 million in the investment portfolio. Total assets over 12 million. Rage built in my chest, hot and choking. I stopped 15 feet from the door, listening. Once you get me added to the trust, Gordon said, we can access the investment accounts first, right? Those are easiest to move. We'll wait 2-3 months so it's not suspicious. Beulah's voice was cold, calculating. Nothing like the warm tone she used with me. By the time Sterling realizes the principal is gone, we'll have cleared at least 4 million and be out of the country. Gordon laughed quietly. 4 million split 2 ways. Not bad for 6 months of work. My vision narrowed. Every instinct screamed to burst through the door. This was my life's work they were discussing like it was nothing. Like I was nothing. I took a step forward, fists clenched. A hand closed around my wrist. I spun, ready to strike, and saw Olivia. She was behind me in the hallway, face pale but determined. She must have used her key, entered as quietly as I had. Her eyes were wide. She'd heard them too. She saw me about to charge through the door. She shook her head urgently, pulled me backward. I resisted, but she was surprisingly strong, or maybe I wasn't fighting as hard as I thought. She pulled me around the corner into the kitchen, out of earshot. "Dad," she whispered, barely audible, "don't do it, not now." I tried to speak. She covered my mouth with her hand. "Listen to me. I saw something yesterday, forged documents, power of attorney papers with your signature, but you never signed them. Gordon has them in his car. If you confront them now, they'll destroy everything and claim it was all a misunderstanding. I pulled her hand away. They're in my office, going through my private... I know. Her grip on my wrist tightened. But this is worse than we thought. They've already prepared forgeries. If they feel threatened, they'll move before the wedding. We need to catch them in the act with proof that can't be disputed. I stared at my daughter, saw the lawyer in her, the strategist. She was right. I knew she was right. But the knowledge didn't ease the fury burning through me. They're discussing how to steal everything I built, right now, 20 feet away. Olivia nodded. And we're letting them think they're getting away with it, because in 3 days, when they try to execute, we'll be ready. My fists were clenched so tight my nails cut into my palms. I forced them to relax, forced myself to breathe, to think like the businessman I was, not the enraged husband I felt like. From the office, Gordon's voice drifted out. Let's put these back exactly how we found them. Don't want the old man suspicious. Old man. I paused, looked back down the hallway toward my office. They had no idea what was coming. We need to leave, Olivia whispered, before they know we were here. We moved toward the front door, silent as ghosts. Outside, Olivia led me to her car parked a block away. Only when we were inside, doors closed, did I finally speak. Forged power of attorney documents. She nodded. I went to his apartment yesterday, used the key he gave me, found them in his desk drawer. Your signature, notarized, except you never signed them. My mind processed this. If he has those ready, he's planning to move faster than we thought. Olivia started the car, which means we need to move faster too. Tonight. We meet tonight and finalize the plan. I looked at my daughter. When had she become this person? This strategic thinker who'd stop me from making a catastrophic mistake. She caught my look. They taught me to be careful at law school, to build airtight cases. We're building one against them. My voice came out hard. And on the wedding day? Her response was cold as winter. On the wedding day, the case closes. We sat there for a moment, the weight of what we'd witnessed settling over us. Finally, I spoke. Tonight, your apartment, 6 o'clock. We plan every detail. Olivia nodded. Every detail. She paused, met my eyes. And Dad? When we move decisively. No mercy. I looked at my hands, still shaking slightly from controlled rage. They'll get exactly what they deserve. Nothing more, nothing less. I opened the car door. Bring all the evidence. 6 o'clock that evening, I arrived at Olivia's apartment carrying my briefcase. She let me in without a word, led me to the dining table. We'd both spent the afternoon processing what we'd witnessed, letting anger cool to determination. Now it was time to strategize. I opened the briefcase, spread everything across her table, printed transcripts of the recording, photos of credit card statements, images of the debt receipt, notes about the forged documents. Olivia sat across from me, legal pad in hand. Okay, she began, voice steady and professional. Let's outline what we know and what we can prove. She wrote as she spoke. Conspiracy timeline, recording evidence, forged documents, financial motivation. I added details, the specific amounts they'd discussed today. Their 2 to 3 month waiting strategy, the shell company plan. Olivia tapped her pen on the pad. Here's the problem. If we simply expose them and break up, they could sue us for defamation. They haven't technically committed a crime yet. Conspiracy to commit fraud is hard to prove without actual action. My jaw tightened. So we let them try? She shook her head. No. We stopped them from ever being able to try. But we need legal guidance. We need Marcus. I pulled out my phone, called Marcus Reed. My attorney for 15 years, he knew when a call was urgent. I kept it brief. Marcus, I need to see you first thing tomorrow. Bring everything you know about Arizona divorce law and fraud prevention. My office, 8 a.m., he replied without hesitation. We hung up. Olivia watched me carefully. You're really going to end the marriage? It wasn't a question. There's no marriage to end, I said flatly. There never was. She married a bank account, not a man. Olivia wrote on her pad, divorce filing, fraud evidence, asset protection. Then she looked up. And Gordon? The wedding? I met her eyes. What do you want to do? She'd been so focused on protecting me, she hadn't processed her own situation. I don't want to marry him. Her voice was quiet at first, then stronger. I don't want him anywhere near me or our family. We spent the next 2 hours building a timeline. Olivia, in full attorney mode, mapped legal steps, divorce filing, restraining orders if needed, asset transfers to protected accounts. I focused on financial defense, moving money to accounts only I controlled, changing passwords, revoking any access Beulah might have. We move on the wedding day, Olivia said. They'll be relaxed, thinking they've won. We hit them when they're not expecting it. I considered this. August 28th, that's when they plan to start executing. August 29th, the day after. She nodded. So, we execute first. The morning of the 28th, before the ceremony. We file divorce papers. I break the engagement. We have all evidence ready if they try to fight. My expression was grim. They'll fight. Her smile was cold. Let them. We'll destroy them in court. The next morning, Marcus Reed's law office. We arrived at 8 sharp. Marcus was mid-50s, gray at the temples, sharp eyes behind wire-rimmed glasses. His office was lined with law books and case files. We sat across from his desk. I laid out the evidence, played the recording, showed the documents, explained the forgeries. Marcus listened without interrupting, occasionally making notes. When I finished, he leaned back in his chair. This is fraud, conspiracy to commit theft, and forgery. You could have them prosecuted criminally. I shook my head. I don't want a criminal trial. I want them gone and unable to touch my assets. Marcus nodded slowly. Then we focus on civil remedies. In Arizona, you can file for divorce on grounds of fraud. If you can prove Beulah entered the marriage with intent to defraud, which this recording clearly shows, the court will grant divorce with no financial obligation to her. She gets nothing. How fast can we file? Olivia asked. Marcus checked his computer. I can have papers ready by tomorrow. We file August 27th, day before the wedding. But here's critical. He looked at me seriously. You need to secure your assets before filing. The moment she's served papers, she might try to access accounts, move money, anything. He outlined the steps. Transfer all liquid assets to new accounts at a different bank. Accounts only in my name with new security. Change passwords on existing accounts, but leave small amounts, enough to look real, not enough to matter if stolen. Inform investment managers that only I could authorize transfers. Essentially, Marcus said, you're building a honeypot. Leave a little bait visible, but the real assets are protected. I nodded. I can do that today. For Olivia and Gordon, Marcus continued, you're not married, so legally he has no claim to anything. Breaking an engagement isn't a legal matter. Olivia spoke up. He has forged power of attorney documents with my father's signature. What if he tries to use them? Marcus's expression darkened. That's felony forgery. If he tries, you call the police immediately. But better, I'll draft a letter today to all of Sterling's financial institutions explicitly revoking any and all powers of attorney, real or forged. He won't be able to use those documents anywhere. I leaned forward. Marcus, I need this to happen fast. All of it. One day. He raised an eyebrow. You want to file for divorce, secure all assets, revoke all access, and prepare for potential forgery attempts. In one day? They're planning to make their move August 29th, I said, my voice steel. If we move slowly, they'll sense it and jump early. We need to hit them so fast they don't have time to react. Marcus considered this, then nodded slowly. It's aggressive, but possible. We coordinate everything for August 28th, the wedding day. File divorce papers that morning. Asset transfers happen simultaneously. Legal notifications go out to all institutions at once. By the time they realize what's happening, all doors are closed. And I'll break the engagement that same morning, Olivia added. Tell Gordon it's over before the ceremony. I looked between them. So we do it. August 28th, everything at once. Marcus picked up his phone. I'll need today and tomorrow to prepare documents and coordinate with banks. But yes, we can do this. The meeting concluded. Marcus walked us to his door. Sterling, Olivia, this will be painful. Even though you know the truth, executing something like this is emotionally difficult. Are you both certain? Completely certain, I said without hesitation. Olivia nodded. They made their choice. Now we're making ours. Marcus shook both our hands. Then I'll have everything ready. Plan to meet here at 7 a.m. on August 28th. We'll finalize the documents, file them electronically at exactly 8 o'clock, and by 9, this will be over. Outside in the parking lot, Olivia and I stood by our cars. The sun was bright, the day ordinary. In 3 days, everything would change. 3 days, I said. We play normal until then. Olivia nodded. I'll smile at the dress fitting tomorrow. I'll pretend everything is perfect. My voice dropped. And then we show them what perfect really means. Justice, Olivia said. Absolute justice. We got in our separate cars. 3 days until the wedding. 3 days until the reckoning. 2 days passed in careful preparation. Now it was August 27th. 1 day before the wedding, 1 day before everything changed. I sat across from Patricia, my private banker of 10 years, while she reviewed the transfer authorizations spread across her desk. Mr. Stevens, she said carefully, this is a substantial move. You're transferring $9 million to new accounts. My voice remained calm, businesslike. I'm consolidating assets for better management. The new account has enhanced security features I need. It wasn't entirely a lie. The new account was at a different bank, with passwords only I knew, security questions Beulah couldn't possibly answer. I'd spent yesterday setting it up, ensuring every detail was perfect. Patricia processed the transfers. I watched the screens as millions shifted from one institution to another, my life's work moving to safety. I left exactly $50,000 in the old accounts, enough to look legitimate if someone checked, not enough to matter if it disappeared. One more thing, I told Patricia. I'm revoking all authorized users on these accounts except myself, including my wife. Her fingers paused on the keyboard. Your wife? I met her eyes. Effective immediately. She nodded slowly, made the changes. An hour later, I left the bank. My fortune was now protected behind walls only I could breach. Across town, Olivia was making calls of her own. She'd spent the morning talking to contacts from law school, people who worked in debt collection, court records, financial investigations. By early afternoon, she had what she needed. Her text arrived while I was driving, confirmed. $85K debt, court date Sept 15. He's out of time. I responded immediately. That's why he's rushing. Makes sense. Everything made sense now. Gordon wasn't just greedy, he was drowning, and he'd seen me as a life raft he could rob and abandon. Late afternoon, I met Marcus at his office. He had a stack of documents ready. Divorce petition citing fraud, evidence attachments, asset protection orders, notifications to every financial institution where I had accounts. Everything's ready to file electronically at 8 a.m. tomorrow, Marcus confirmed. Once filed, the notifications go out automatically. By 9 a.m., every door will be locked. I reviewed the papers, signed where needed. My signature was steady. Marcus added, I've also prepared a cease and desist letter for Gordon in case he attempts contact. And I've notified 2 colleagues to be on standby if they try to file countersuits. They'll try, I said. Marcus's smile was grim. Let them. We have recordings, documents, and evidence. They have lies. While I was securing legal protection, Olivia was at a pharmacy across town. She stood in the supplement aisle, studying bottles of melatonin. She selected the highest dose available without prescription. 10 milligrams per tablet. She calculated quietly. 2 tablets dissolved in wine would induce deep sleep for 8 to 10 hours, especially combined with alcohol. Not dangerous, not illegal, just effective. She purchased 2 bottles, paid cash, kept the receipt. On the drive to my house, she considered the plan. Tomorrow night's pre-wedding dinner. She'd help serve wine. 2 tablets each for Beulah and Gordon, dissolved in red wine. Dark color would mask any slight cloudiness. By the time they woke, groggy, disoriented, late, the trap would have closed. That evening, Olivia arrived at my house at 7. We sat in my office, door closed, and reviewed the plan one final time. I had the timeline written out, 7 a.m. tomorrow, meet Marcus, finalize documents. 8 a.m., file everything electronically. 9 a.m., notifications sent to all institutions. 10 a.m., confront them with evidence. Olivia added her part. Tonight's dinner, the melatonin, ensuring they slept through our morning preparations. They can't know anything until it's done, she said. By the time they wake, every door will be locked, every account secured, every legal action filed. We discussed contingencies. What if they didn't drink the wine? What if they woke earlier than expected? I had backup plans. I could delay them with conversation. Olivia could claim car trouble. But we both believed the wine would work. People trust what they're given at a celebration. Olivia looked at me. Last chance to back out. My response was immediate. No backing out. They made their choice. Now they face consequences. I picked up my phone, called Beulah. She answered cheerfully. Hi, honey, what's up? I kept my voice warm. I was thinking, the wedding is tomorrow. Everything's been so rushed. What if we had a nice pre-wedding dinner tonight? Just family. You, me, Gordon, Olivia. One last peaceful evening before the chaos. That's so thoughtful. Beulah sounded delighted. I'd love that. What time? 7:30? Perfect. See you then. After hanging up, I texted Gordon through Olivia's phone. Dad wants to host a pre-wedding dinner tonight, 7:30. Can you make it? Gordon's reply came within minutes. Absolutely. Thanks for including me. See you tonight. I handed the phone back to Olivia. They're coming. Her voice was flat. Of course they are. Free food, free wine, and an opportunity to play happy family one more time before they rob us blind. By evening, my kitchen was ready. Good steaks, salad, expensive wine. The kind people don't question drinking generously. Olivia arrived at 6:30 to help. She brought the melatonin in her purse. We didn't discuss it directly, but I saw her slip the bottles into the kitchen drawer. I set out 4 wine glasses. 2 were slightly different from the others, same style, but Olivia would know which ones were which. She'd pour wine for everyone, but only 2 glasses would have the addition. I checked the guest house. Fresh linens, comfortable bed, everything ready for guests who'd sleep very soundly. When I returned to the main house, Olivia was setting the table. Neither of us spoke. There was nothing left to say. Tonight, we'd play our roles one last time. Tomorrow, the performance ended. 30 minutes before guests arrived, Olivia and I stood in the kitchen. The table was set. The wine was ready. You don't have to do this, I told her. I can handle it alone. She shook her head. We do this together. They betrayed both of us. I nodded once. Then we finish it together. The doorbell would ring soon. The last act was beginning. I straightened my shirt, put on a smile I didn't feel. Olivia did the same. We walked to the door to greet our enemies. The doorbell rang at 7:30 exactly. I opened the door, smile in place. Beulah stood there in a summer dress, radiant. Gordon beside her in casual slacks and a button-down, carrying a bottle of wine. We brought wine, Gordon said, offering it. I accepted graciously. Thoughtful, but I've already got something special opened. They entered. Beulah kissed my cheek. I felt the touch like ice. Olivia emerged from the kitchen, embraced Gordon with what looked like affection. Only I saw the deadness in her eyes. This is wonderful, Beulah said, taking in the dining room. Such a lovely idea, having one quiet meal before tomorrow's chaos. I guided them to the table. Family is important. I wanted us all together one more time before everything changes. Gordon sat, completely at ease. I appreciate you including me, Sterling. I know I'm marrying into the family, but this makes me feel like I'm already part of it. I poured water for everyone. You are part of it, Gordon. That's what tomorrow's about. We sat. I served steaks, perfectly grilled, salad, roasted vegetables, bread. The food was excellent because I'd taken time to make it so. Sterling made small talk, asked Gordon about his training clients, complimented Beulah on her dress, discussed wedding logistics with Olivia. The conversation flowed naturally. Gordon told a story about a client who fell off a treadmill. Everyone laughed. Beulah mentioned a friend who couldn't make the wedding. Olivia described the venue decorations. Normal, mundane. A family dinner like hundreds before it. Except, I watched every gesture, every expression. Gordon's hand rested possessively on Olivia's arm. Beulah touched my shoulder as she spoke. These small intimacies that should mean affection, but now represented calculated manipulation. My smile never wavered. Under the table, my fists clenched periodically, then relaxed. After 20 minutes, I stood. Let me get the wine. I've been saving something special. I moved to the kitchen. Olivia followed, ostensibly to help. The kitchen was separated from the dining room by a half wall. We could see Beulah and Gordon talking, laughing together. Olivia moved quickly and efficiently. She had the wine bottle already open, 4 glasses ready. From the drawer, she retrieved the melatonin bottles. Her hands were steady as she crushed 4 tablets with the back of a spoon, 2 per glass. She divided the powder between 2 glasses, poured red wine into all 4, swirled the drug glasses to dissolve the powder completely. I watched. Neither of us spoke. Olivia picked up 2 glasses, the clean ones. I took the drugged ones. We returned to the dining room. I handed a glass to Beulah, 1 to Gordon. Olivia distributed the other 2, clean wine for herself and me. I raised my glass. A toast to tomorrow, to new beginnings, to Gordon and Olivia. May their marriage bring joy and prosperity. Gordon beamed. Thank you, Sterling. That means everything. We clinked glasses, drank. I barely touched my wine. Olivia took a small sip, but Gordon and Beulah drank deeply. It was expensive wine, smooth, and they were celebrating. Dinner continued, more conversation, more wine. I refilled Gordon and Beulah's glasses twice. They didn't hesitate. 40 minutes after the first toast, I noticed Gordon stifle a yawn. Long day? I asked, concerned. Gordon nodded. The final training sessions, last-minute wedding stuff. It's catching up. Beulah stretched. I'm feeling it too. Yesterday was exhausting. I adopted a sympathetic expression. You should rest. Big day tomorrow. You need to be fresh. Gordon yawned again, wider this time. You're probably right. We should head out soon. Beulah agreed, but her words were slightly slower than usual. Long drive home, I interjected smoothly. Why drive? The guest house is ready. Stay here tonight. That way you can sleep in, no rush in the morning. Gordon and Beulah exchanged glances. We couldn't impose, Beulah said, but her objection was weak. I insisted. It's no imposition. The bed is made, everything's ready. Besides, it'll be nice having everyone here tomorrow morning. Family together. Another yawn from Gordon. If you're sure, I nodded firmly. I insist. By 10 o'clock, both were struggling to stay alert. Gordon's eyes kept closing. Beulah's head nodded periodically. I don't know why I'm so tired, Gordon mumbled. Olivia stood. Let me show you to the guest house. You both look exhausted. She helped Gordon to his feet. I supported Beulah. We walked across the patio to the guest house, a small structure with a bedroom, bathroom, and sitting area. Gordon stumbled slightly on the steps. Inside, Beulah sat heavily on the bed. Sorry, she said to me. I don't usually get this tired. My voice was gentle. It's been a stressful week. Rest. We'll see you in the morning. Gordon was already lying down, shoes still on. Olivia removed them, covered him with a blanket. Within minutes, both were unconscious. I stood in the doorway, watching them sleep. The room was silent except for deep, steady breathing. I stepped outside, closed the door softly. Olivia followed. Back in the main house, we waited an hour. At 11 o'clock, we returned to the guest house. I opened the door carefully. No response. I turned on a light. Gordon and Beulah hadn't moved. I approached Gordon, clapped my hands near his face. Nothing. I pulled out my phone, called Gordon's number. The phone on the nightstand rang loudly. Gordon didn't stir. I ended the call. They're completely out. Olivia checked Beulah's pulse, strong and steady. The melatonin worked. They'll sleep until mid-morning at least. I looked at my watch. We have until 10 or 11 before they wake, maybe later. Olivia's voice was a whisper. So we start at 7, 3 to 4 hours to execute everything before they're conscious. I nodded. We left the guest house, locked the door from outside. An unnecessary precaution. Neither occupant was waking soon. Back in the main house, we stood in the kitchen where we drugged the wine hours earlier. The dinner dishes were still on the table. Tomorrow, none of this would matter. Get some sleep, I told Olivia. Tomorrow is a long day. She shook her head. I won't sleep. Too much adrenaline. I understood. I wouldn't sleep either. Instead, we sat in my office reviewing the plan one more time. Every document was ready. Every account was protected. Every person who needed to be contacted had been notified. At 2 in the morning, Olivia finally closed her eyes on my office couch. I sat at my desk, watching the clock. 5 hours until it began. 5 hours until Gordon and Beulah woke to a world where they had nothing. Where they were nothing. I allowed myself a cold smile. Justice delayed is not justice denied. It's justice perfected. At 5:30, the first gray light of dawn appeared through the window. I stood, walked to the window, looked out at the guest house. Inside, 2 people slept peacefully, dreaming of stolen millions. Outside, a man who'd built an empire from nothing, prepared to defend it. I checked my watch. 5:30 a.m. In 90 minutes, I'd meet Marcus. In 3 hours, the documents would file. In 4 hours, Gordon and Beulah would wake up to ruin. I turned from the window. Time to finish this. 7:00 a.m. exactly. I sat in Marcus's conference room, the divorce petition spread before me. Every page meticulously prepared, every attachment labeled, recording transcript A, financial evidence B, timeline of deception. C, I'd signed them yesterday. Now Marcus navigated to the Maricopa County Superior Court electronic filing system. Ready? He asked. I nodded once. He clicked submit. The screen processed for 3 seconds that felt like 3 hours. Then, filing accepted. Case number DR225089447. It was done. The divorce petition was officially filed. Beulah was now a defendant in a fraud case. Marcus printed the confirmation. Notification emails go out automatically within 30 minutes. Beulah will be served electronically by 8 o'clock. I checked my watch. 7:03 a.m. 300 yards away, in my guest house, Beulah slept on, dreaming of stolen millions. She had no idea she'd already lost. Olivia's turn. She opened her laptop, pulled up a drafted email. Recipient, Gordon Fletcher. Subject, engagement terminated, legal notice. She'd attached 3 files, the recording transcript, photos of his debt documentation, and a formal statement that the wedding was canceled and the engagement dissolved. Her fingers hovered over the send button. This was the man she'd thought she'd marry, the man who'd called her naive. She clicked send. The email whooshed away. Done, she said flatly. Marcus added, I'm also sending copies to the wedding venue, the caterer, and the officiant. Everything canceled as of this moment. Olivia pulled out her phone, sent text to her close friends. Wedding canceled. We'll explain later. Brief, clinical, no emotion to spare. My phone was in my hand. First call, my primary bank. This is Sterling Stevens, account holder. I need to confirm all security measures are active as of this morning. The representative confirmed. Yes, Mr. Stevens. As of midnight, only you can access these accounts. All authorized users have been removed. Second call, my investment broker. Same confirmation. Third call, credit card companies. Cancel all secondary cards on my accounts immediately. Only my primary card remains active. Fourth call, this one different. Marcus dialed, put it on speaker. A collection agency. This is Marcus Reed, attorney. I'm calling regarding debtor Gordon Fletcher, case number 47829. Mr. Fletcher has been representing that he would have funds available from a family connection. I'm calling to inform you that no such funds exist or will exist. He has no access to any assets from the Stevens family. The agent's voice sharpened. Is he attempting fraud? Marcus. Make your own determination, but you should know the wedding is canceled as of today. I could hear keyboard clicking. They were updating their records, probably moving Gordon's file to aggressive collection. I returned home at 8:30. The locksmith arrived 10 minutes later. I had him change every lock. Front door, back door, garage, gate. New keys cut. 2 sets only. One for me, one for Olivia. By 9:15, the physical work was done. Next, I walked through the house with my laptop. Every smart lock, every security code, every Wi-Fi password changed. I removed Beulah's fingerprint from the biometric locks, removed her face from the facial recognition system. By 9:30, Beulah couldn't enter this house if she tried. I stood in my office, looked around. For 6 months, Beulah had lived here, slept here, pretended to love me here. Now every trace of her access was erased. The house was mine again. Only mine. 10:30 a.m. In the guest house, Gordon stirred first. I couldn't see him, but I knew the moment it happened because his phone, the one I'd called last night to test his unconsciousness, suddenly showed activity on my security network. Minutes later, Beulah's phone lit up too. I imagined the scene. Gordon reaching for his phone, seeing 57 unread emails, 32 texts, 19 missed calls. Opening that first email from Olivia. Engagement terminated. Legal notice. Beulah grabbing her phone, seeing the notification from Maricopa County Superior Court. You have been served with divorce petition DR 202508947. I watch my security cameras. The guest house door burst open. Gordon and Beulah stumbled out, still in yesterday's clothes, phones clutched in their hands. They rushed to the main house. Gordon tried his key in the front door. Didn't fit. He pounded on the door. "Sterling, Olivia, open up." I sat calmly in the living room, coffee cup in hand. Olivia beside me. We could hear him shouting. He circled to the back door, also locked. He peered through the window, saw us sitting there, pounded on the glass. I finally stood, walked to the back door, opened it. My face was cold, empty. "Come in. We've been expecting you." Gordon and Beulah stumbled inside, both disheveled, panicked, their phones still clutched like lifelines. I gestured to the living room. "Please, sit." My voice was polite, host calm, which somehow made it worse. They didn't sit. "What did you do?" Beulah's voice was shrill. "What did you do to my accounts?" I didn't answer yet. I walked to the coffee table, picked up a folder, opened it slowly. Inside, printed transcripts, financial records, photographs, everything. I set it back down. "I think you know what I did. The question is, what did you think you were doing?" Gordon tried to bluster. "This is insane. You can't just—" I raised my hand. "Sit down, both of you." Something in my voice made them obey. They sank onto the couch. I remained standing. Olivia stood beside me. United front. Outside, a car pulled into the driveway. Marcus had arrived, and he wasn't alone. Through the window, I saw Officer Rodriguez step out of her patrol car, called as a witness to ensure everything remained legal and documented. I didn't take my eyes off Gordon and Beulah. "Now," I said quietly, "let me tell you exactly what happened while you were sleeping, and then you're going to leave my house and never come back." Marcus entered through the front door, Officer Rodriguez beside him. She was a woman in her 40s, uniform crisp, expression neutral. She positioned herself near the door, present but not threatening. Yet. Gordon saw her. His face went from pale to gray. "Why is there a cop here?" I answered. "Officer Rodriguez is here as a witness, to ensure everything that happens is legal and documented, to ensure you understand that what I'm about to tell you is not a threat, it's reality." I sat in the armchair across from them, Olivia beside me. Marcus remained standing. "Good morning," I said, voice measured, almost conversational. "I hope you slept well. That was your last peaceful sleep for quite some time." Beulah found her voice. "Sterling, please, let me explain." I held up my hand. "No, you don't speak. You listen. You've been speaking for 6 months, performing, manipulating, lying. Now you listen." I gestured to the evidence folder. "Do you know what's in there? Of course you do. Recordings of your conversations, financial records showing you knew Gordon before we met, his debt documentation, your credit card history, the forged power of attorney documents, everything." I leaned forward, hands clasped. "While you were sleeping, so soundly, thanks to the melatonin Olivia put in your wine, we were busy. At 7 a.m., I filed for divorce on grounds of fraud. The petition includes all this evidence. The court has it now. At 7:15, Olivia terminated her engagement to Gordon and sent him copies of your recorded conversations. At 7:30, I contacted your creditors, Gordon, and informed them you wouldn't be receiving any money from this family." I paused, let it sink in. "At 8:30, I changed every lock in this house. At 9 a.m., I changed every password, removed Beulah from every account, canceled every credit card with her name on it. By 10 a.m., while you were still dreaming of my money, you had nothing. No access, no wedding, no future theft." Beulah's face crumpled. "You drugged us?" Olivia spoke, her voice sharp and clear. "Melatonin, legal, over-the-counter, completely safe. Just enough to ensure you slept while we protected what you were trying to steal." Gordon tried to rally. "You can't prove we were going to do anything. Those conversations were just talk, fantasy." Marcus stepped forward. "Mr. Fletcher, I'm an attorney. I've reviewed the evidence. You and Ms. Stevens discussed specific dollar amounts, specific methods of theft, and specific plans to leave the country. That's conspiracy to commit fraud. Add in the forged power of attorney documents, that's felony forgery. Beulah broke first, tears streaming. Sterling, I did love you. I know it started wrong, but I fell in love with you. My voice turned to ice. You loved my bank account. Every morning you woke up next to me, you were counting my money. Every time you smiled at me, you were calculating percentages. Every time you said, I love you, you were lying. I stood, walked to the window, looked out at my property. 6 months of performance. I trusted you, brought you into my home, into my life. And you, my voice cracked slightly, the only emotion I'd shown. I recovered quickly. You saw a mark, an old fool you called me, someone who'd never realize until too late. I turned back to them. But I realized, and it's not too late, for me, for you, it's exactly too late. Gordon's turn now, desperate. We'll sue, we'll fight this. You can't just... Olivia cut him off, her lawyer voice sharp as a blade. You'll sue for what? You were never married to my father, so you have no claim to his assets. Engagement isn't a legal contract. I owe you nothing. And if you try to use those forged documents, we'll have you arrested for felony forgery. Your move, Gordon. Choose carefully. Gordon's bluster crumbled. He slumped on the couch, head in his hands. The reality was crushing him. The debt he couldn't pay, the creditors who were now fully active, the loss of his meal ticket, the evidence against him. Beulah kept crying, but her tears weren't moving anyone in this room. Officer Rodriguez shifted slightly, her presence a reminder that this was all legal, all documented. I returned to my chair. Here's what happens now. You have 1 hour to collect your personal belongings from this house. Beulah, you take only what you brought into this marriage. Gordon, you take nothing. You were never authorized to be here. After 1 hour, if you're still on my property, Officer Rodriguez will arrest you for trespassing. I leaned back. The divorce will proceed. I have all the evidence I need. You'll get nothing. No money, no property, nothing. Gordon, your creditors know you're bankrupt. They'll pursue you legally. That's not my concern. Marcus added, and if either of you attempt to contact Mr. Stevens or Ms. Stevens after today, we'll file restraining orders and pursue harassment charges. I delivered my final words. You chose to target us. You chose to lie and manipulate and steal. Now you face the consequences. Justice isn't always delivered by courts. Sometimes you have to create it yourself. The hour passed in heavy silence. Gordon and Beulah gathered their things. Gordon had almost nothing here, just some clothes from overnight stays. Beulah had more, clothes, toiletries, a few personal items from her 6-month residency. She tried once more as she was leaving. Sterling. I didn't even look at her. Get out. They loaded 2 cars, Gordon's truck, Beulah's sedan. Olivia and I watched from the front door as they drove away. No final words, no dramatic farewell. Just 2 people leaving, beaten and empty. Officer Rodriguez and Marcus left shortly after. Marcus shook my hand. It's over, he said. I nodded. It's over. But I didn't feel relief yet. Just exhaustion. 2 days later, August 30th. The day that should have been the wedding. Instead, I sat in my office reading an email from Marcus. The court had fast-tracked the divorce due to the fraud evidence. Preliminary ruling, divorce granted, no assets awarded to Beulah, full protection orders in place. Gordon's creditors had filed a lawsuit against him. His assets, what few he had, would be seized. I closed the email, walked to my living room where Olivia was unpacking Chinese takeout, our quiet celebration. It's done, I told her. She smiled, really smiled for the first time in weeks. We ate dinner together, father and daughter, talking about normal things, her cases at work, my plans for travel, mundane life resuming. As evening fell, I stood at my window, looking out at my property. For 6 months, it wasn't truly mine. There was a thief in my house. Now it was mine again. The weight lifted. They thought I was easy prey, I said quietly. Olivia joined me at the window. They chose wrong. I nodded. They chose very wrong. That night, I sat alone in my office. I thought about my first wife, gone 2 years now. I'd let my loneliness make me vulnerable. I wouldn't make that mistake again. But I also wouldn't let it make me bitter. I'd stopped the theft, protected my daughter, Prove that age doesn't equal weakness. I opened my desk drawer, looked at the evidence folder one more time, all those recordings, documents, proof. I'd considered going to the police, having them prosecuted criminally, but this was better, faster, cleaner, more complete. They lost everything without a trial, without media attention, without drama, just cold, efficient justice. I closed the drawer. Tomorrow I'd call the bank, start planning some charitable donations, put my wealth to good use instead of worrying about who might try to steal it. Tonight, I simply sat in the quiet of my home, my empire, my life. All of it secured, all of it mine. Justice served. The next evening, Olivia and I sat on my patio watching the sunset. The same patio where the barbecue had happened, where Gordon's nervousness first showed, where this all began. I raised a glass of wine. To trusting your instincts and a family that stands together. Olivia touched her glass to mine. To justice. We drank. And the sun set on a day that should have been a wedding, but instead became a reckoning. My smile was small but genuine. Sometimes revenge isn't about destruction, I said. It's about protection, about showing people there are consequences. Olivia nodded. They underestimated you. They underestimated us, I corrected. The story ends not with triumph, but with quiet satisfaction. Justice delivered, family protected, life moving forward. I'd built an empire from nothing, and when someone tried to take it, I proved that wisdom and strategy are worth more than youth and deception. They called me an old fool. They were wrong. If you like this story, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share your impressions of this story in the comments. To listen to the next story, click on the box on the left. Thank you for watching.